Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're getting our hands a little yellow, you could say,
Ah, definitely.
because we're diving into something really fascinating, looking at turmeric, specifically through a perspective a listener shared with us.
Yeah, it's about how this, really vibrant, celebrated spice in Indian culture.
So traditional.
Exactly. How it might actually give us a lens on complex things like, well, patriarchy.
It's quite a take. We're trying to understand what the material calls the turmeric mask. Sounds intriguing, right?
It really does. It's such a vivid metaphor.
Yeah.
You think turmeric pure brings health, that glow, tradition.
Positive things.
But the idea here is that maybe it's also been used, subtly perhaps, as a kind of covering.
Okay.
So our mission really is to sort of peel back that golden facade, see what might be underneath, explore that intersection of cherished traditions and maybe persistent inequality, all through this turmeric lens.
All right, let's get into it then. Because turmeric, haldi, it's so much more than just curry powder in India, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Its significance is, well, it's profound. It shows up everywhere.
It's a symbol, right, of purity.
Purity, auspiciousness, prosperity, yeah. Central to Ayurvedic medicine for healing. And its role in rituals, especially weddings, is just iconic.
Right, the haldi ceremony, everyone knows that one. Before the wedding, the bride, sometimes the groom too, they get smeared with this turmeric paste.
It's seen as cleansing, protective, and yes, gives that famous glow.
And it's usually such a joyful time. Laughter, songs, family, pure celebration.
And this right here is where this perspective we're exploring gets interesting, maybe a bit sharp.
Okay.
It suggests that while the tradition itself is beautiful, the way it's used, the context, it might actually maybe unintentionally mask or even reinforce realities that aren't so equal.
So that lovely ceremony, while it's full of love, the idea is it might subtly lock in those traditional gender roles.
Kind of. You have the bride being prepared, skin purified, made radiant, often framed as getting her ready for a new home or new role in the groom. His application might be quicker, maybe framed more around blessing him for his role, as the future provider.
Huh. So it's described almost like patriarchy is just sort of invited, not crashing the party, but just
Quietly slipping into the ceremony, making sure everyone knows their part. Like, pass the turmeric, let's just ensure these roles are clear.
Wow. And that connects to the bigger point made, right? That patriarchy in India isn't always this, loud, obvious thing.
Exactly. It's called a shapeshifter. Really good at blending into traditions, daily rituals, things people love.
Which makes that turmeric mask metaphor pretty potent then.
Incredibly. It's applied with so much care, so much celebration. Look how beautiful, how traditional. But underneath that glow, it might be hiding what are called the blemishes of inequality.
And that plays out in expectations, especially for women.
Yeah, it seems so. This idea that women are expected to be the keepers of tradition, perform the rituals correctly, uphold family honor through these practices.
Sounds like being the nurturing backbone.
Which is important, but it often comes with this expectation to prioritize family, domestic life, while men are more expected to be out there, achieving in the public sphere.
It's described almost like being cast as the supporting actor in your own life story.
Oof, yeah. That's a strong way to put it, but it captures that feeling.
And you see this very clearly in the marriage market, which, let's be real, is still a major factor.
Huge. Arranged marriages are still common.
Yeah.
And dowry, even though it's illegal, officially frowned upon. It's noted that it still lingers, like that awkward guest who just won't leave.
Huh. Right. And there's this double standard that feels almost theatrical.
Blatant, yeah. Women often judged on traditional things, cooking, homemaking, even appearance, that turmeric glow. While the guys are looked at for their education, job prospects, family status. It's like two completely different scorecards.
And this isn't just interpretation or symbolism. The numbers actually seem to back this up.
Yeah, looking at the data provided, the reality behind that mask gets clearer. Like the 2023 World Economic Forum report, India ranked 127th out of 146 countries in the Global Gender Gap Index.
127th. That's...
Yeah. And to give that context, the material points out that this puts India behind countries like Namibia, Rwanda, on gender parity metrics.
That really puts it in perspective. And the economic side.
Significant impact. Female workforce participation is really low, around 27%, apparently one of the lowest globally.
And for women who are working.
There's that persistent gender pay gap, somewhere between 20–30% across different sectors. These aren't just numbers. They reflect the daily grind shaped by these underlying expectations.
Education is often seen as the way out, and female literacy has improved, right? Over 70%.
It has, yeah, according to UNESCO data from 2021. But it's not all progress. Dropout rates for girls are still a big challenge,
Why is that?
often tied back to early marriage or just the expectation to take over household duties, especially in rural areas where traditions, really hold sway.
It's a sharp point made. Turmeric might brighten your skin, but it doesn't necessarily brighten your future if it keeps you out of school.
Exactly. And then, tragically, there's the safety data, which reveals the most disturbing layer, really.
What did it show?
The National Crime Records Bureau reporting over 400,000 crimes against women in 2023. Domestic violence, dowry deaths, sexual assault.
400,000. And that's likely underreported.
Almost certainly. The way it's framed is blunt. It's like patriarchy almost invites violence into the home while keeping up this facade that everything's fine because, hey, traditions are being followed.
Gosh. So if patriarchy is the shapeshifter wearing the mask, what's the role of media in all this? Bollywood, for example.
Yes. Media, especially Bollywood, is painted as the makeup artist, reflecting these norms, sometimes even amplifying them for everyone to see.
Yeah, I can see that. Even with some newer films showing stronger women, there are still so many that fall back on old tropes.
Totally. Women as damsels in distress needing a hero, or the sacrificial lamb whose main job is family duty.
That classic Bollywood wedding scene example is spot on. The bride, all glowing, often after a big Haldi scene.
Presented like a beautifully wrapped gift.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the groom arrives like the victor, claiming his prize.
It reinforces that inequality visually, even if people don't consciously think about it that way.
And it's not just movies. Social media is the new stage for this.
How so?
You see influencers selling turmeric face masks for that perfect bridal glow. Maybe not meaning to, but still feeding into this idea that a woman's main value is tied up in how she looks.
Right, and then you read the comments, relatives telling young women to settle down before they lose their looks.
It's called a modern-day turmeric trap. Old ideas, new platforms.
Okay, so we've got this picture. The deep cultural roots, this powerful mask metaphor, the concerning data, the media influence. But things aren't just stuck, right? The material also talks about change.
Absolutely. It highlights significant cracks appearing in patriarchy's turmeric mask. India in 2025 is definitely a place of change, too.
We see it all the time, women breaking barriers everywhere.
In boardrooms, winning medals at the Olympics, leading in politics and activism, it's happening.
And there are specific examples linked to turmeric itself, interestingly. Like the National Turmeric Board, inaugurated in Islamabad just this year, January 14th, 2025.
Right, with Ganga Reddy as chairman. While it's about the industry, it's a step towards recognizing and hopefully empowering turmeric farmers, many of whom are women.
Giving them a stronger economic foothold, potentially.
Exactly. And then you have people actively reinterpreting tradition, like Kinkar Grishmasri Reddy and her GS Arts initiative.
What's she doing?
Blending turmeric, that symbol of tradition, with contemporary art, painting couple portraits using it, taking something linked to these old undertones and giving it a modern inclusive twist.
Using turmeric to paint equality. I like that.
It's a cool subversion. And there's legal progress, too.
Like the inheritance rights.
Yeah, the 2005 amendment to the Hindu Succession Act giving women equal inheritance rights was huge. Plus, stronger crackdowns on dowry violence.
And women organizing themselves.
Undeniably. From rural self-help groups building economic independence to these really vibrant urban feminist movements, women are pushing back, demanding change.
Though the material does say it's slow work, right? Like scrubbing off those turmeric stains.
Huh. Yeah, that's a good analogy. It takes effort. It's persistent.
And speaking of scrubbing stains, the perspective we're looking at definitely has this ironic, almost sarcastic edge sometimes.
Oh, for sure. It really leans into the absurdity of using something known for healing and purifying.
Like turmeric.
To symbolically keep women in a particular, maybe limiting place.
It's compared to what? Using a fire extinguisher to start a bonfire?
Exactly. The disconnect is just,
Yeah.
wow, here, apply this healing paste so you're ready for a potentially restrictive role.
Right. And that whole beauty industry focus on the golden glow.
Yeah.
The argument is no amount of face masks fixes the root issue of tying a woman's value to her looks or marital status.
That's like putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg and saying, all better.
Totally. And then there's that trope of the modern traditional woman.
Ah, yes. Expected to juggle a career and be the perfect homemaker, still doing all the traditional stuff, stirring the turmeric.
Well, the guys don't really face that same pressure cooker.
Right. It's framed as this clever juggling act patriarchy uses to make things look equal without actually changing the fundamental power balance.
So, given all this complexity, the good, the bad, the mask, what's the suggested path forward? It sounds like there's a kind of recipe for change.
Yeah, served with a side of sass, as it's put.
Okay, ingredient one.
Education. But not just reading and writing. Critical thinking about gender roles, questioning traditions, teaching kids equality from the get-go. Like, don't just follow the turmeric trail blindly. Ask where it leads.
Makes sense.
Second,
Amplify women's voices. Give women platforms everywhere, from the turmeric fields to boardrooms to Bollywood script meetings. We need more stories by women and influencers talking empowerment, not just appearance.
third ingredient. Challenge the status quo. Boldly. Question rituals that feel off. Call out dowry, even when it's disguised. Don't be afraid to, make things a little uncomfortable.
Okay, fourth.
Support systemic change. This means pushing for real policies, equal pay laws, strong enforcement against violence, better support like maternity leave, and making sure things like that National Turmeric Board actually benefit the women farmers.
Get that economic power to them.
Exactly. And finally, number 5,
What is it?
embrace the sarcasm. Laugh at the absurdity. Humor can be a really powerful tool to dismantle rigid ideas.
So next time someone mentions the bridal glow,
Ask if it comes with equal rights. It makes people stop and think, maybe without getting defensive.
that's clever. And while we've really focused on India because of this unique turmeric metaphor,
Yeah, the material does point out this isn't just an Indian issue. Cultural practices masking inequality. That happens everywhere.
different forms, but similar underlying issues. Mentioned Japan, Saudi Arabia, even Western countries with wage gaps and biases.
It seems patriarchy is pretty global, just wears different masks, maybe.
Yeah.
But India's relationship with turmeric gives us this incredibly vivid, specific way to see how it works subtly.
Yeah, and the point isn't to bash turmeric. The spice is amazing.
Not at all. It's about questioning what it's been made to represent in some contexts. Can we reimagine it as a symbol of healing, health, and actual empowerment that could help shift things?
So, wrapping up this deep dive, we've used this turmeric mask.
The next time you see turmeric used in a ritual, maybe just pause for a second. Ask yourself, what's really being celebrated here? Is it just love and unity and tradition? Or is it also maybe kind of painting over the cracks of an older, outdated system?
That is a compelling question to leave people with, and it makes you hope we can move towards a society where turmeric genuinely represents healing, prosperity, empowerment for everyone, a society ready to glow, in all the right ways without needing any mask at all.